there anyone else who would like to public comment in the back?
Hi, my name's Becca Brody. I have two boys at Great Neck Elementary School entering 5th and 3rd grade. I'm here to express my concern on class sizes at the elementary school. Charlie, who was recently diagnosed with dyslexia last year, has thrived in a smaller class environment. His class of 17 students in 4th grade provided an ideal setting for his learning needs. Last year, Donnie's 2nd grade class was accommodating 22 students, and it was one of 3 similarly sized classes at his grade. At that age, such large class sizes undoubtedly restrict teachers' ability to effectively teach and students' ability to fully engage in learning. Introducing a 4th class size would significantly reduce the number of students in each class and enhance the educational experience for all students. Drawing from my experience as a substitute teacher at Waterford schools, I have witnessed firsthand the difference between teaching smaller classes versus larger classes exceeding 20 students. Smaller classes operate more efficiently through their curriculum, fostering an environment where teachers can maintain better control and students can receive more individualized attention. Statistically, subsequent research has been done on the effects of class size reduction with a variety of cognitive and non-cognitive benefits for students and teachers, both short and long term. Research supports the benefits of smaller class sizes on academic achievement and student engagement. Students in smaller classes achieve higher standardized test scores and are more likely to graduate and pursue higher education compared to their peers in larger classes. Even when reintroduced to larger class sizes later in their educational career, the positive foundation of having a smaller class size in elementary school caused students to later in life be more likely to take advanced classes, graduate from high school, and attend college. I urge the board to prioritize maintaining or reducing class sizes at Great Neck Elementary. Doing so not only supports the academic success of students like Charlie and Donnie, but also aligns with best practices in education that enhance overall learning outcomes. What better return on our investment could we ask for? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to offer a public comment? Yes?
Hi, my name is Nurses Green. My child is also at Great Neck, and smaller class sizes sound great, but I'm here for another reason. As you might be aware from some of my letters, I'm really concerned about the drainage or lack thereof at the elementary school at Great Neck Elementary. Students are often sequestered to a small blacktop area, waiting in line to shoot a basketball with little room to move around because the field is so muddy. I am aware that the new budget starts on July 1st, and I am here to urge the board to schedule the work with Tom Irwin Company when the budget opens up next week. From what I understand, Ian at Tom Irwin has previously inspected the field and is confident that they can perform the review within the first 2 weeks of July. I'm here to urge the board to please approve more than just a Band-Aid fix, but to include drainage around the basketball courts. Crowning of the field to direct any extra water towards specific points of drainage should also be included in this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Liz Pizzi. I'm also a parent of 2 students at Great Neck, and I would just like to, again, advocate for everything Becca said so beautifully about maintaining the small class sizes. I think that that's one of the things that makes Great Neck an amazing school. It provides so much more to those students, and I really worry for my daughter who's going into 5th grade that she won't get what she needs, because there are many students in that grade that have a lot of needs, and she's not one of them. And so I think that the teachers are going to have to spend a lot of time helping a lot of those needy students, and students like my child will get left behind. So that's a concern I have. And I agree also with the fields. I have a son who's going into 4th grade now, and recess is a challenge every single day for him. They have nothing to do because it's a blacktop and all those classes that share it. So if there's anything we can do about the field so that they have more space to play, it would be really appreciated.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to offer a public comment? Anyone else who would like to offer a public comment? Thank you. Now item number 2 is special recognition of the Waterford Public School 2024 retirees.
Great, I'm gonna have our principals join the chair and myself and Representative McCarty up front as we go through the retirees. We have several in attendance tonight, and it's one of my favorite nights of the year because we are honoring people's service to our students.
Good evening. I'd like to take a minute to honor a wonderful member of our school community, Ms. Yuan Chen, our dedicated school counselor. For many of our pupils, middle school can feel like a tumultuous journey of emotions and challenges, whether it's traversing friendships, academic pressures, or simply the landscape of adolescence. Ms. Chen has been a continuous source of support and guidance for all these students. Yuan, your empathy for others and professionalism created a safe space and encouraging setting for countless students. Our students always knew that they could come to you with their worries and concerns, big or small, and be met with compassion and care. Your impact has reached beyond students to many of us. You collaborate beautifully with teachers and parents, creating a network of support and multiple avenues for success. You are a worthy person who brings a fresh perspective and important experiences to every situation, and I'm personally grateful to call you a colleague and a friend. On behalf of everyone at Clark Lane, thank you so much for your service, kindness, and for being you. We wish you well in your much-deserved retirement.
Representative Martin. Chad, don't leave. How are you? It seems like yesterday that I made it. I can't believe it's 20 years, but it's my great honor to be able to present you with this official state citation. And it was signed by our President Pro Tem, Martin Looney, Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas, and our Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter. So it recognizes your 20 years of dedicated service and all that you have done for our community and students. So we wish you the very, very best. Here you go.
We're going to recognize any retiree from any school, even if they're not in attendance, with just a slide. If you want to.
We'd like to also wish Sadie Flaherty, who is a very dedicated crossing guard and monitor for our lunch, a very happy retirement. She's a lovely person who's also left a beautiful fig tree at our school before she retired. It's just right in front of the school, so we wish her the best. And Glenn Williams, dedicated science teacher of 21 years, brought a lot of insight. He's also someone who does work for the state in counting the bird population. He's got a really interesting background in the science and the ecology in the area, so we wish him much success in his retirement. Yeah.
Weatherford, huh? Sure.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a fine-looking audience. How are you doing? All right. So I have the honor of acknowledging the distinguished careers of 6 members of our high school team, 2 of which I see here in attendance tonight. So Alita is not here this evening, right? No one from her family? All right. Well, Alita, she was hired in Waterford Public Schools 25 years ago, served in many different roles. I think she started at Great Neck Elementary School under the guidance and tutelage of Craig Merriman and Powers, sorry, and Pat Keogh, right? So there, and she's served many different roles. I think in 2012 she joined us at the high school as a paraprofessional and left an indelible mark on the school community. Very strong work ethic, very nice woman. So we wish her the best in her retirement. All right, Connie Montanaro is here. All right. So Connie joined Waterford High School in 1988 as a home economics teacher. And over the years, she wore many different hats, most recently serving as the department chair of Family and Consumer Science. Her journey through these roles has been marked by unwavering dedication to her students and a passion for her subject area that has left a positive mark on our school community. From the moment I joined Waterford High School in 2017, I told County this before, I felt an immediate connection to her, thanks to our shared love of the culinary arts, stemming from my years in restaurant management before getting into education. Connie's enthusiasm for cooking has always been infectious, and I've been consistently impressed by her dedication and creativity. Her famous cupcake wars with her students are a testament to her innovative teaching methods, turning the kitchen into a classroom where learning is synonymous with fun and creativity. These moments have inspired countless students to find joy in the kitchen, sparking a passion that many will carry with them for the rest of their lives. Connie, we are deeply grateful for your many years of service and the significant impact you've had on our school and our students. Your dedication has not only enriched our curriculum in the culinary arts, but also touched the hearts and minds of everyone in our school community. We wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. May you enjoy every moment with your family, with your friends, and may this next chapter be filled with joy, the same joy that you brought all of us to Waterford High School. So Connie, congratulations. Give you the floor.
Hi, Connie. How are you? It's so good to see you too. I'd like to also extend this official citation from the state of Connecticut to you for your 36 years of unwavering commitment. She doesn't look 36. They've been wonderful years too, let me tell you. Thank you for everything that you've done and for, I remember going to a lot of the events and the food was just amazing.
Competitions
That the kids did, so I appreciate everything you've done and wish you the very, very best. I won't read the citation out loud, but it's an official citation and mentions your work, so thank you. And I wish you also much personal success as you go forward. Thank you.
Don't be a stranger.
Oh, I won't.
Cross coach from here.
All right. Kelly White. I feel like I've spoken on you. So Kelly has truly embodied the spirit of what it means to be a Lancer. She was first hired as a grade 6 teacher's aide at Southwest School in May of 1983. From that moment, she served our students and staff in a multitude of roles, showcasing her versatility, dedication, and unwavering commitment to our school community. Her journey includes positions as a tutor, classroom teacher, science coordinator, class advisor, peer connector advisor, high school testing coordinator, teaching assistant principal, my interim assistant principal, school counselor, and most recently, director of school counseling. Kelly's commitment to our students and staff has been nothing short of extraordinary. Her passion for her department's work, her empathetic and caring nature towards our students, and her unwavering dedication to everyone in our school community has made a lasting impact that will be felt for years to come. Kelly has always gone above and beyond in anything she is tasked with, consistently putting the best interests of our students and staff at the forefront of everything she does. The positive influence she has had on the lives of so many is immeasurable, and her legacy will continue to inspire us all. Kelly, as you embark on this new chapter in your life, we want to extend our heartfelt congratulations on reaching such a significant milestone. The positive mark you've left on our school remain a testament to your outstanding character and your work ethic. We wish you a retirement filled with joy, relaxation, and the opportunity to explore new horizons, which I know you've already done. You'll be greatly missed, and you have been since October, especially for me, but your impact will never be forgotten. Thank you once again for your dedication and service, and please know I'll be forever grateful for having you as a reliable friend and colleague.
Like the others, it's my great privilege to be able to extend this very official state citation to Kelly, and it was really interesting to hear all the roles. You're never going to be forgotten here. So 38 years of unwavering commitment to our students. It's remarkable. Thank you very much. It's bittersweet, but I wish you the very, very best as you go forward, Kelly.
I will say that Kelly's daughter Taylor was my first
Yes.
student at Southwest School. She came in while I was cleaning the office and didn't move in, so nice to see you, and Colin. Good to see you. Congratulations.
So I just want to tell everyone, even if the retirees are not here tonight, they all
Jay Criscola, history teacher at Waterford High School, 23 years of service. He is the consummate professional. I'm not surprised he's not here tonight. I was sworn to secrecy to never even let anybody know on the faculty and staff that he was retiring until the last day, which was very hard when we were creating master schedules, but figuring that out. But Jay was an awesome guy. I actually taught his son years ago at Guilford High School, so it was neat to come full circle out here in Waterford. Amanda Morales, Spanish teacher in Waterford Public Schools. She's been at the high school for some time. Amanda always brought joy, very compassionate individual, and she was really the Swiss Army knife of the World Language Department. No matter what class there was, she was always willing to take that class on and teach it. So that was always great to have. So we wish Amanda the best. And of course, Bill Scanley came here 15 years ago, Waterford High School. He did a lot of work with our transition program for the Avery Point. Bill is a really genuine soul, cares so much about kids, very passionate, and a real fun guy if you got to know Bill. So we wish him the best of luck in his retirement as well. I think that's all the high school folks.
Quaker Hill, I know, has a couple.
Yes, we have 3 amazing teachers. I did a comprehensive speech at their retirement party a couple weeks ago, but just a through line for all 3 is just teaching excellence and leadership. And they're going to be very, very hard to replace, but they've been always really charitable with their time and teaching fellow teachers, so I think we'll be in good hands. Just want to recognize Kathleen Ferrando, 26 years of service. Denise Lewis, they're 24 years of service. And Robin Willard, 33 years of service. 3 amazing ladies. So,
Great, thank you.
As much as I'm sure the retirees and hey, certainly slip out. Congratulations again.
Have a great summer.
This time we will move on to the consent agenda. Sure.
I move that the Waterford Board of Education approves the consent agenda consisting of minutes of the May 23rd, 2024 regular meeting, the monthly expenditure report for May 2024, and the food service financial report for May 2024.
Second.
Are there any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 4 is reading and review of correspondence received. I
Yeah,
did
just the
touch on that.
several class size letters, as well as some retiree thank yous, I believe.
And now we'll move on to the superintendent's
Sure.
report.
Great, thank you. As we do each and every spring with the board, we like to preview what class sizes look like for next year, so that if needed, administration can get some direction from the board heading into the summer months, as we often do not meet in July. So this is a chart showing what class sizes are at this point projected to be in the fall. This data is, we start tracking this data really, well, December as we build the budget, and then we track it on a regular basis right throughout the spring. This chart focuses solely on elementary, middle, and higher are pretty well set, but has been practiced, at least during my time here, sharing this info with the board in the spring for any questions, concerns, and again, direction. What I do want to point out, that we're seeing a little abnormalities, particularly at the K level. In looking at the 3 schools, you can kind of see the grand total line down there. Right now, we're sitting on 124 K students registration at this point. That is a little, not a little low, that's really low for us at this time of year to be sitting on. Below the grand totals, you can see The projections from the enrollment consultants that we work with. Mike Zuber presented here in January. He presented 3 projections, a low, medium, and high. And then we also received yearly projections from NESDEC, which is New England School Development Council. Looking at the Zuber projection medium, which is, you know, taking into account some things, in the NESDEC, we should be around 160 come the beginning of school. I will say, and going back to what Mr. Zuba said in January, kindergarten's probably one of the more accurate projections you're gonna get, because it's looking at births 5 years ago and saying, are these kids, you know, who was born that year and are they eligible for kindergarten? So that's a pretty solid number, as he pointed out in January, so we are a little concerned, working with Caroline from my office and the rest of the team. I mean, we've pushed out K-registration information in many, many different ways. Obviously, school newsletters, we put an announcement in the paper, we do mailings, I mean, you name it. So we're still a little perplexed why that's so low at this time and place, but we do expect that to creep up through the summer months as we approach the beginning of school. Other grade levels, obviously, as you see there, are in alignment with Board of Ed budget guidelines that the board set in November, and in line with historical actuals that we've seen over the last 22 years that we've tracked this data.
I'd like to make a comment. After reading through all the numerous letters and petitions and staffing levels for the 2024-25 school year, I'd like to suggest that the board direct the administration to staff the Great Neck 5th grade with 3 classes and the Great Neck 3rd grade with 4 classes tonight, and hold the Oswegatchie 5th grade as a future watch. I strongly believe we should not exceed 20 students per class at the elementary level, regardless of contract language. This will give our increasingly mainstream special ed students and our struggling regular students the academic attention and the social climate that they need to succeed. Small elementary classes now pay big dividends for the future. We should act tonight rather than August, so potential staff will be in place and parents and students will be advised of placements. It should be doable with our past budget and the physical strengths of each school. If necessary, I would move that we discuss this as an added agenda item before 7A as new business, but we can discuss it now also. If it's not necessarily, has to be an agenda item. My real concern is that these numbers of 23 and 21, especially the 5th grade at 23 at Great Neck, is only gonna get larger, not smaller. In fact, I believe they just had another person registered today for 5th grade at Great Neck.
There is one moving also.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
So
why.
So it stays in 23.
Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
Okay. Joy?
I'd like to add Oswegatchie Kindergarten to that watch list.
That is on our watch list, yeah, and
okay.
maybe I wasn't explicit in that, we're absolutely, keeping an eye on K. We do expect both Oswegatchie, and possibly Great Neck to go up. I mean, obviously with Quaker Hill, so yes, no, we are on that, so, but I appreciate you being probably more overt than I was.
Anyone else have a comment?
I do. I'm just wondering, these numbers are well within the guidelines, and if students are changing that rapidly, and if the classroom environment is so different than it was in the past, maybe we need to reimagine the guidelines. Maybe our class size committee needs to reconvene, and we need to think more about what the guidelines should be, because in the past, I mean, we've had several, particularly 5th grades that were 25. And they were pretty hard to, a pretty tight squeeze and pretty hard to get that attention for every student there. I happen to work at Great Neck as a volunteer in the garden area, and just when there are 25 kids in a class, like there were a couple of years ago, it is almost impossible to get 25 kids around the 4-foot by 16-foot beds that we have. And even when it's 23, there's such a noticeable difference in attention span and everything else. When I go from even 23 to 20 or 20 to 18, and when you go down to those lower numbers, the payoff is so great when in academic performance later on. We have very, very small class sizes in the high school, and we just had a whole bunch of kids get accepted to phenomenal colleges and are going and matriculating into wonderful places. We should be doing the same thing for our elementary kids. That's where it's gonna make the most difference, in my opinion. And those guidelines are contractual. And of course, we put it there as a safety measure for our, in case we get terrible budget cuts. But we owe our elementary students the same education that our high school students are getting, in my opinion.
Anyone else have a comment? Deb?
Just want to point out that if we're talking about 20, Oswegatchie fifth grade is also about that.
Yeah.
Well, and you
I
also
do.
have Quaker Hill second and third, so
Mhm.
if you're looking at 20 as the magic number, you're talking about
Right.
possibly 6 FTEs,
Yeah.
just to
Right.
put it
That makes-
into context. Let me share a little historical data. I know this was in your packet, but there's also public perhaps watching on TV. I want to just share historical data on, particularly, Rodney, we can go through, you know, so this is a 22-year look back of class sizes here in Waterford, ranging, so if you look at 2000 grade K, for example, this year we have a low of 14 in a K classroom and a high of 20, so that's what the 14 to 20 represents. If you would click, Caroline.
Just a quick
Yep.
point of information. Is this an October 1st?
This is as of budget time, so this is January data that we,
January of each year?
January of each year roughly. I mean, obviously you can see this year, we're well into the 20s, in both first and second grade in the district. You can see many, many years over the last 22 years where we're 20 or more. But again, we're over 20 in grades 3 and 4 this year, and quite often over the last 22 years, and then obviously, grade 5, 15 out of the last 22 years were in the 20s. I provide this as context for the board. Again, I work for you. I just worry about if we're setting 20 as a magic number, you're looking at 5 or 6 FTEs that are not budgeted for the fall. So clear direction from the board will be appreciated.
And I, having taught, love the idea of lesser than 20 students per class. I think that's wonderful. But it's such a huge policy change, and it's gonna be a policy change. And I think we kind of need to formalize it, and, I mean, there will be taxpayers who say, why has the budget gone up so dramatically? And I think we need to at least be able to justify that, explain ourselves. I think it would be wonderful.
I think it's really two issues. It's coming back to your suggestions to go back to the recommended class size contractually and what the board feels is the most appropriate limit for class size. But that won't help us right now.
That is true.
So my recommendation is that there are too many moving targets here. And we all know what happens if you make a decision one way and then sure enough, you know, a set of triplets move in the next day to a different grade level. So my suggestion is that we keep a very close eye on it and make decisions as it gets later. That's one of the reasons why I believe you don't assign classes or students to particular classes, so that they don't have a teacher in their mind. Kids are flexible, but sometimes as adults we're not. So my suggestion is we direct the superintendent to continue to monitor it very closely, and if we need to come back in July or certainly before the August meeting, because you wouldn't want to wait until the third week in
No, I
August.
would definitely want to address
Much sooner than
any additional classes in July for sure. I just think in terms of planning. I will continue, I'll call on our elementary principals to keep this up to date. I'll continue to send this to the board on a weekly basis
Sure.
from today forward. And we can always pull together, a special meeting, to discuss it and provide some direction to move forward. And again, you're right. Believe it or not, we have a ton of set of twins in our elementary schools for a fifth grade promotion. So these numbers can change, on a dime. What I'm hearing from the board is sit tight, continue to monitor. I'll send this to the board on a regular basis. If we're gonna make a decision, let's do it in July so principals and teachers can plan properly.
But let's also revisit those guidelines, and because maybe the demographic is so different that, no,
I
that's
mean-
not
Lori,
reasonable.
it's not policy, it's contract, it's
It's
contractual.
contractual.
Well, there's two things at play. We're nowhere near the class size limits in the teacher's contract. So that's not a concern. We're not gonna violate anything there. But in November of each year, heading into budget season, this board approves class-side guidelines, which are, or budget assumptions, I think is the actual term, saying, when you build the budget, administration, try to keep class sizes in this range. The range set in November for grades 3 through 5 were up to 23 in grades 3 through 5. And I'm not saying it's not a, you can choose to do whatever you want anytime you want, you're the board. But those were the guidelines the board set back in the fall. And I agree, our demographics are changing. You've heard me talk about it in budget season. We have more ML students than ever. Our special ed population continues to climb. Students need attention. I will say, during budget season, we did hear some town officials, not Board of Ed members, talk about should we be considering general ed paras, which this district has not done. But other districts,
Right.
4 miles away do.
Right.
So, there's a multitude of ways. That's longer term, as Pat said. That doesn't help us tonight or in July, but those are some of the longer term discussions that we can have, as a board.
I will just add that my number of 20 students would be an ideal. I certainly, would not cringe at 21 or so, but when it gets to be 23, 24, 25, then we're really pushing the limits, in my opinion.
And I just think you need, and I'm not arguing with you at all, I just think you need to be prepared that if, in your mind, 23 is the magic number, you're gonna hear from the Oswegatchie parents saying, well, we have 22.
Right.
Is 22
I want
that
to
much
Just
different?
exactly, it's just kind of whole,
I
right,
believe in equity and
Right,
let's do
right.
it for everyone,
You know?
you know.
right. But I do think the educational landscape has changed considerably,
Agreed.
and teachers' expectations have completely changed considerably, and also trying to manage, with the fact that we have such a diverse population, so I'm totally in agreement with watching and making sure we
You
make
could
a,
have a class of 23 and everything goes smoothly. You can have a class of 14.
and it's
and
going
you need
downhill
a lot more
fast,
help.
so,
Yeah.
yeah,
The makeup
Yeah.
of the class is huge, but I still think we don't want to make any kind of recommendations now and then be having to backtrack and reverse those recommendations or decisions. I think we need to just hold it in a little bit and assure the parents that we understand their concerns and that we're going to be watching this very closely.
So will this be an agenda item on the July?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
would think really maybe even before, I think, over the next 2 weeks,
Okay.
let's try to,
let's try to
Yeah.
nail this down.
Sure. that'd be great.
Certainly by the end of July,
Sure.
at the latest, just in terms of planning and hiring and
Right,
moving parts.
Right. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
If we don't do something soon, we're gonna be left behind the 8 ball, and we won't be able to do anything.
Yep,
Or you just don't wanna scramble at the last minute, like Pat said.
yeah, exactly.
Everybody on board okay with that?
All right.
Special
Thank
meeting
you.
or something on the agenda of the.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Just a couple other items of note under, other.
Sounds like a change.
I just want to thank all of our staff for all the organizing they did for our end of the year traditions and events. Many of us were able to attend the 3 fifth grade promotions and the 8th grade promotion and high school graduation, and I know the amount of work that goes into those events right to the last minute, right, Mr. Samuelson, with the weather in play. But accommodations to all of our staff, both administrators, our secretarial staff, teachers play a large role in those events, and it was such a great week, that last week of school.
I will just put a little aside there, that I actually enjoyed the inside graduation ceremony. I thought it was very personal and quite nice. That was lovely. Yeah.
Was, came off nice.
Can I just add, each one of the elementary schools with each one of your musical performances were amazing. I have to say, it was just, it touched my heart every time. And Billy, your school, they set the bar, I have to say, a little bit different. So, I don't know, there's game plans going on, I think, with the other two schools now. Is that
The
what we're
reason
gonna see?
she's saying that is Great Neck
It was
had a
amazing.
student band play a number at 5th grade promotion.
They really,
So it was
it
pretty,
was really
not
good.
the school band, it was like
It
a
was-
makeshift jam band.
They just
It
put it
was
all
cool.
together. It was just,
Very
it was
It was cool.
It was
That's great.
adorable, awesome, and fun, and it was just really, each one of them had like such a magical touch to it. So it was really wonderful and appreciated being there.
Very nice, thank you for those words. We are in summer mode already, believe it or not, pretty much the day school ends, we are in shifting gears to next year. Craig and company, in just a second, I will ask him to kind of maybe report out on the curriculum work that took place the day after school got out. We had a robust 40, 50, 60, 70 teachers, something. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we had close to 50. We had preschool finished their curriculum, so the board may see that this fall. Elementary language arts is nearing completion. There are 3 grade levels that need one more day to kind of finish things up. You may see that this fall. We had 6 through 12 science beginning their curriculum revision. We had personal finance, which you know is a high school graduation requirement. Complete that course. You may see that this fall. And then we are developing a theater program by having 4 semester courses built, because we have the potential talent to, at our middle school, to maybe expand to include our high school, to really offer that probably for the first time in Waterford's history. We've had a fantastic drama program, but it hasn't conferred a credit as far as a theater program would. So we had 5 very different and distinct curriculum groups meet the week after school ends. I call it Curricular Boot Camp at the high school library and accompanying rooms. And I really want to thank all the teachers involved. Several are here tonight, continuing to give their time and dedication to the profession.
Craig, just don't give us all of them at once.
So that's why we're thinking
That's why we're thinking
fall
a fall batch
and
a
the spring
batch.
to, because we listen to the board.
Yep.
Thank you.
Summer cleaning has started, obviously. In terms of things going on in the schools, Camp Dash will be at Oswegatchie and Quaker Hill this summer. Summer Academy, run by Krista Scorti and Joe Macrino, will be held at Clark Lane. So I know those plans and hiring are in the very, very late stages as we gear up in another week or so for Summer Academy. Just news coming out of the schools at the secondary level. Waterford High had a couple award ceremonies to end the year. Underclassmen awards, approximately 100 awards were handed out to students in grades 9 through 11. And the annual senior scholarship and awards night resulted in 272 awards given to 120 seniors, totaling $133,000. So a great night. It was obviously spring music season. The last concert of the year where each ensemble performed at Waterford High was one selection from a popular artist, movie, or Broadway show. And after they performed, students received various awards for their dedication and commitment throughout the year to the music program. It was a senior art exhibition night that coincided with the music concert, which gave our students a chance to show off their work. And for the second year in a row, which I think is a new tradition, we conducted the senior grad walk, expanded to Clark Lane this year, where the 12th graders walked through the halls of the 3 elementaries and the middle school in their caps and gowns, which I think sends a great message to the younger students on the importance of finishing school and graduating and all of those important things. So great event. Clark Lane, 40-plus 8th graders were celebrated in early June for their contributions to Clark Lane at an awards ceremony honoring their personal improvements, academics, behavior, as well as leadership. They call them the Students of Distinction. I know that's always a great event. 35-plus students were inducted into the Latin, French, and Spanish Honor Societies. I think that took place the night of the last board meeting in May. And congratulations, we always like to highlight students, to 8th grade student Anne Marie De Jesus for winning the Excellence in American History Award for Clark Lane, which is sponsored by the Lucretia Shaw Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, which is a national organization, and this prestigious award is given to one student from each local middle school for their interest and aptitude in U.S. history. And then just bravo to the Clark Lane Music Department for their very talented orchestra, band, jazz, and chorus concerts. And as Mr. Sachs said, the students played to a packed house in the Waterford High Auditorium and were outstanding. So I know that was always a great event. And as we end a year, this meeting kind of signals the end of at least the 23-24 school year. I want to thank our staff, our students and families, and certainly the Board of Ed for another great year, and wish everybody a safe, happy, and fun summer. That concludes Superintendent's report, unless there's questions.
We'll move on to committee and liaison reports. First are the Board of Ed committee reports.
Policy and finance do not meet.
Community schools doesn't, residency, ad hoc class size, that's appropriate.
Touche.
We will be.
Soon.
Board of Ed liaison and representative reports. I don't think we had anything from Learn.
I have learned just one short, two short things. The Ocean Avenue Learning Academy hosted a wonderful year-end open house with Senator Mark, Senator Austin, Representative Ryan. Other legislators were in attendance. Kate Erickson, the Learn Executive Director, and the Learn team had the opportunity to provide a tour to the legislators to highlight the impact of state funding on Learn's regional programming. But also, there was one representative from East Haddam gave a really impassioned request to all of us as a result of an overt racist event that occurred at one of their schools. And it was really a very emotional thing, but they were asking things like, we need input, we need to understand best practices on how to communicate with students and the community. We need some policy development and procedures, support systems for students and staff, training and education on healing, how to engage with the community regarding race and equity, what restorative practices, restorative justice to engage in, and how to monitor and evaluate anti-racist practices. She was just like overwhelmed, and they really didn't know where to go with what happened. So I thought that was interesting, and something for us to think about. Thank you.
Any other Board of Ed Youth Service Bureau?
Youth Service Bureau, their meeting was canceled. I do know that Camp Dash has gone and started and is doing very well so far, from what I understand from the little posts I've been seeing. A lot of popsicles have been shared and fun has been had. So far so good with that, at least. That's as far as I know right now.
Thank you. And liaison and reps to the Board of Ed. Greg, did you have anything you wanted to share from the Selectman's office?
Nothing to report. I'm hearing about some of the conditions at the schools, looking forward to maybe some capital projects in the future to look at. No, that's it.
Stick around for 3 agenda items from now.
Surprise!
Nick, anything from RTM, or are you just yours?
I'm not here as a spokesman.
Okay, all right. I don't see our rep from the library here, and our student reports are not happening during summer vacation. Moving on to new business. I'd like to advance for a motion.
I move that the Waterford Board of Education approves the Waterford Public Schools Educator Evaluation and Support Plan as presented.
Second.
discussion?
Just some brief comments, if you don't mind, Madam Chair. 2012 was the last time the state legislature made significant changes to teacher evaluation. In the last, spring of '23 legislative session, the state legislature did make revisions to educator evaluation, which the State Department of Ed put out guidelines. Our professional learning and evaluation committee in the district spent about a year on this with broad staff involvement. This was not a lift by any one individual for sure. It was really a team effort. And what's before you tonight, there is an accompanying memo outlining some of the changes from 2012 to today. Craig, what did I miss, if anything?
I think you covered it, Tom. If there's any questions, I just want to also say that we've had great union support, whether it was the educator or the leader plan, which is needed, not only statutorily, but welcomed in this district.
I just want to say, I thought this was actually a very comprehensive document and very much improved on the past. But I do have a couple of questions on the old plan and the new plan.
Sure.
One of the questions on goal setting, when you said teachers and evaluators will agree on a single professional learning goal that can span 1, 2, or 3 years. When they do that, do you have an absolute timeline and dates that they have to do this such and such a thing by this date, or is it just if they pick 3 years, is it at the end of 3 years we're gonna go see it?
It's a good question, right? Do they need to do anything in years 1 and 2? If it's a 3-year goal, the answer to that is yes.
I figured it
Yes.
was, but just
Everybody will be
Yes.
doing a 3-year goal.
Yes. Our people don't try to beat the system, frankly. So, no, there'll be benchmark, when I say benchmarks, I mean benchmark testing. There'll be, points progress points along the way that the teacher and the administrator would discuss up front, saying, this is gonna take me 2 years or perhaps 3 years, but here's what I hope to accomplish by mid-year, year 1,
Yeah.
end of year, year 1,
Good.
and so on.
Good.
Great question.
Okay, and then my other question is, on that same box, beginning teachers may use team goals. I was wondering, is that because they may not be that cognizant of goal setting?
Okay,
and-
so
and-
that acronym is for the support program that the State Department has, the induction
Oh,
program.
okay.
So, new
it's not,
teachers,
it's not the,
so it's not small t a
Gotcha.
e
Now
a
they're
m, it's
teaching team.
capital.
gotcha,
Yes.
gotcha,
Um,
gotcha,
There's no
okay.
period.
You might
Yeah.
recall
Misinterpret.
our era, when I was in the BEST program.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
changed BEST to team years
Yeah.
ago.
Yes, yes.
So if they're working on their new modules,
Gotcha,
that
gotcha.
really becomes their focus.
No problem,
Yeah.
I totally misinterpreted that.
That's okay.
Okay, that's all I have.
Are there any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. And same line of thinking, a motion for the next item, which is the discussion and possible action of the school administrator's evaluation and support plan.
I move that the Waterford Board of Education approves the Waterford Public Schools Administrative Evaluation and Support Plan as presented.
Second.
Yeah, less significant changes here. What I would guess, I would say, and Craig jump in, is the shift in the leaders evaluation plan is really making the school growth plan, their school improvement plan, the core of their work. It was assumed and inferred in the previous plan. This plan is much more explicit in saying the plan you work with central office on and developing is the work you do, and it's the work the school does. I would say we're a little more overt in that.
And of course, that makes the efficiency there and, minimizes any redundancy of extra writing and everything. We want our kids to continue to learn forward, that's in the school growth plan, and now our evaluation system is one and the same.
Makes sense. It took a while. Any board members have questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone abstain? Anyone opposed? No abstentions, we'll do the whole thing, and that motion passes. Okay, before we move to a motion on item C, which is discussion and possible action on the capital projects and request for special appropriation, I'd ask Tom and Joe maybe give us a little bit of information first.
Sure, we've talked about these briefly, probably during budget season. Off and on, I think I know I previously mentioned Great Neck Field in previous board meetings and some of the parent traffic that was coming to us on that, but what Joe and I, and with the help of Jay Minor, our facilities director, did was try to synthesize all of that information, those disparate conversations, kind of into a succinct overview for the board, and hopefully get some direction from you where you want to head with this. So, Board of Ed facilities are definitely facing some capital needs here in the very near term, which is why we're making this an agenda item here tonight. So I'm going to start talking about Great Neck Field, which you heard a public comment about tonight and in previous meetings, talk about the main turf field. We call it the football field, but there are many sports played on it. And then the situation and condition of the tennis courts. So to recap a little bit about the Great Neck Field update, continue to see drainage issues continue intermittently. No surprise, coincides with heavy rain. You know, when it's dry, the field's usable, and when it rains, it's not really usable. Joe and I have gone out there after we've had significant rain, walked around, and we both bought new shoes. It's slight exaggeration, but it's definitely soupy. This is not a new problem. And I know our chair is former principal of Great Neck after the construction. This has been a long-standing problem since the school opened. A good part of that field was a red cedar swamp, I'm told, that was filled in, which now comprises that field. So whenever you build on wetlands, you're gonna have some issues. I can pause, it sounds like you were gonna say something.
I was. I'm worried about that July 2024, bringing in the consultant and not starting anything until summer of 2025.
Well, that's a likely, so we are gonna bring a consultant in July. You have been able to tell from that public comment, I've met with that parent on several occasions. We are bringing in a consultant. It's a consultant that Rec and Park has used in the past. They're gonna come in and do an evaluation. Short-term fix is different than a longer-term solution. Can we buy some time to get kids on that field? In the fall, perhaps, next spring, perhaps, I don't know what those short-term fixes would be. That's why we're gonna get an evaluation and a report done. And then anything longer-term, like embedding drainage underground, things like that would certainly take a capital request. We're just not gonna have that kind of money within the board's operating budget.
Right, but Tom, I worry that, for the next school year, if it doesn't start, even with the short-term fixes until summer of 2025, that's a whole school year without any fixes.
So I'm not an expert in turf management. You know, let's say, for example, this is not based on any knowledge. Let's say one of the short-term fixes is, hey, you can strip off the top 6 inches of topsoil, put down better topsoil and reseed it. We can do that in the fall. That field's not gonna be usable.
Yeah.
So we're thinking summer 2025, so at least in dry weather this fall, the kids can actually use it. 'Cause if we tear that thing up, reseed, sod, whatever the solution might be, it's likely not gonna be usable this fall. I think we have to wait and see what the report is.
Yeah.
We are gonna ask them short-term fixes and longer-term solutions. In terms of longer-term solutions, I think the next slide, you know, the town has purchased the 8 Goshen Road property. I think you're all aware of that. That is so if you see Great Neck School and you can see the parking lot, on the other side of a house is another auxiliary parking lot. That house in the middle is 8 Goshen Road. That is now owned by the town of Waterford. I don't know if that plays a part. That's likely gonna become parking lot because there's parking and arrival and dismissal challenges at Great Neck. You know, does the drainage of that field tie into how that property, is drained and whatnot? I don't know, but I don't see, again, I'm not an expert, Joe and I aren't seeing a solution that could be implemented by Summers End that magically makes that field usable.
But even,
Not a shot. Let's be realistic, this is a year out.
Yeah.
All
Let me ask-
all three projects that are here are gonna be a year out.
the, short-term fix, when you speak with a consultant, the overflow parking that exists, that lot over there is, I don't know how often it's used during the day. It used to be very minimal. Is there something that could be used to make that into a play area temporarily, so that the kids would have a good surface to play on until a solution is found? Just have them look at that as well. I mean, there's a path you can get right there. And if it's only now using a couple of cars every day, they could do without that big parking lot. When you go by, it's empty most times, so.
And if
It's a fair-
Goshen,
fair point.
if Goshen Road is dry,
So, it doesn't show up on the screen, so if you see that house in the middle of the two lots,
To
it's
the
the
left of
lot
the
to the
house.
left, which abuts
There's
the
nothing in it.
field. I wish, the pointer doesn't, for some reason, show up on the screen.
Oh.
You see that middle Goshen
I'll
Road
just
where it
go up
says
there.
Goshen Road in the middle?
It's a good size parking.
It is
It could be
big.
Vanna if you
So,
want.
this is the field in question that we're seeing drainage issues with, and it extends even behind the basketball court. This is the auxiliary lot that Pat is referencing. This is the house that's been purchased. Likely will extend that parking lot to deal with some challenges with arrival and dismissal and parking. I think Pat's question, or wondering, correct me if I'm wrong, is can this become temporary play area during the week?
and why not mow down some of those trees over there in the backyard of that house and extend it there too?
Well, that would be a town decision. That's
That's-
town
That's
property.
town
property,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
ours,
Yeah.
okay. Well, can't we go and plead to the town that this has gone on for a whole year and our kids can't stand it any longer?
We can discuss a
Is that
multitude of
overflow
possibilities.
lot paved? I can't tell.
It's
Pavers.
It's pavers that are open that the grass
It's-
grows
yeah.
through.
An environmental thing with grass in between.
Think of like a
Yeah,
honeycomb
it's like if they're X's sort
pavers.
of.
So there's grass that grows up in between
So they're
open space.
concrete.
They're concrete pavers, yeah. When it rains heavy, the only place kids really have to play is that basketball court. You can see kind of the lines of the basketball
Yeah.
court, and there's a small
Playscape.
playscape with a rubberized surface underneath it there. It is challenging.
It is. You
It
would
is.
also have to consider that that area would most likely have to be fenced, I would think, at least.
Right now,
The
That
overflow
parking
parking
area,
lot.
the overflow
it just has
parking
split
lot,
rail around it now.
is there split rail?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would think you
We'll
want
explore
some
that as
type
a
of- But you know what I
possibility.
mean, there's,
Yeah.
no matter what, there's gonna be work that needs to be done regardless for wherever we wind up doing.
Our goal would be at the August meeting to bring those recommendations back to the board, what this consultant says, and kind of have a further discussion, how you'd like us to proceed.
And you have talked maybe to the town also
Oh, yeah.
to say,
Yeah, we'll
we're
probably
going
do
to
that
here.
next
We have
week.
half of it and maybe they take the front half, we get the back half or something.
Yeah.
You got enough right here, it's gonna put it in.
So that's the update on Great Neck. We're on it. We're moving forward. We just didn't have the money in this fiscal budget to hire the consultant, which is why we're waiting until after July 1. Just wasn't in the cards, as you know. Let's talk about turf field. Little background, the turf field opened for use in 2011. It is used extensively by our students and our teams, football, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's lacrosse, women's field hockey, and then there's obviously significant community use. What's not even up there is like our PE classes use it from time to time as well. Part of the responsibility of having a turf field is yearly testing. It's called GMAX testing, and there's a definition there. But basically, it measures the bounce, the ability of the field to absorb shock, which is obviously important when you have
Impact
students impact, whether it's body parts, heads, whatever it may be. that rating is extremely important. Requested by the Board of Ed in every capital submission since fiscal year 17 has been money requested to be set aside for the funding of the replacement of the turf field. There were a couple $100,000 that were allocated right around 17, 18, when the town built the softball field, the turf softball field. That account was drawn down to zero. So right now, as it stands today, there is $0 in any replacement fund for the main turf field. These fields have a 10-year anticipated lifespan. You can see we're 12, 13 years, whether it be East Lyme or New London, Stonington, if you read that in the paper, we're all around that 10, 12-year mark, and we're all in the process of replacing fields in one way or another. 2 years ago, we did dump $45,000 worth of crumb rubber on that field to make sure that that field continued to have the ability to absorb the shock that it needs to. What is crumb rubber? It's that granules, and you'll kind of see that in some of the pictures. We received a report from the company who does the GMAX testing and inspects our field for play in May of 2024, so last month. These are the highlights. I won't read them to you. This is posted publicly on our website in the agendas. It's certainly in your board packet. But there are significant concerns looming. These are some pictures from the test company. You know, we're seeing turf fibers breaking easily. Those tips just lay on the field. You can see where patching has occurred. It is at a different height because think of carpeting in your home. High traffic areas get matted down, less traffic areas stay high, similar to this. And beginning to see some weed encroachment. Bottom line of that report, per Thomas Testing, that's the name of the company, is to look at a new turf field options and plan for replacement within a year or two at the very most. So that was the overriding conclusion of that report. I'll pause there before we move on to tennis courts. Joe, anything to add on the turf?
No.
Any questions from the board?
Tennis courts. We're seeing significant cracking and deterioration of playing conditions. These courts opened for play circa early 90s. They were repaved about 20 years ago. Not completely torn up, probably milled and repaved, if you ever see milling on the road, that smooth pavement type of thing. And then we put in, out of operating, significant patching in 2020. Was that operating or capital, Joe? The patching?
Operating.
That was operating.
Under your funds.
Obviously, men's and women's tennis, significant community use, and again, we've requested tennis court funds, I say we, board included, because you approve a capital budget in the fall. Since FY22, to date, it's not made the cut. These are some pictures taken by Chris Landry and his staff. You can see, to put those cracks into some context, you know, the use of a ruler.
Can they use them? Do they use them for competition?
They do. I would say
It's
we're
horrible.
nearing a time
Hazardous?
where they may
Yeah,
not
very
pass
hazardous.
muster for competition.
Yeah, I mean,
When you look at cracks that are 2 inches wide and 3 inches deep,
yeah, that's hazardous.
patching is not gonna address this in a long-term way. These were patched 2 years ago, 2 springs ago, and this is,
And you'll never be able to host any kind of
Right.
tournament.
and again, I won't belabor the point, these are on our website.
Yep.
So, you know, we've got some capital needs looming, and bottom line is administration is looking for some direction from the board. They're not funded in this coming fiscal year in capital. The question would be, do we wanna move forward with asking for a special appropriation of the three town boards, which would be Board of Selectmen, Finance, and RTM, obviously, if it doesn't get by the board of selectmen, it's kind of DOA, dead on arrival, but, I'll kind of pause there.
Does our town have any kind of real capital plan?
Yes,
We do,
there is.
but we don't.
There is a bona fide capital plan, that, the first selectman, I believe, puts together, and then it goes through the various town boards each budget season. So there is a bona fide 5-year capital plan. These items have not made the cut in recent years.
Every year before our budget hearings start, there's a capital improvement budget that's put forth. And we have been very diligent and very economical in funding everything, especially the turf fields, on a 10-year basis. And every single year, it gets cut to zero. Well, eventually, we're gonna have to pay the piper and do something about all these things. And so we tried, I believe, the administration and the board, I've been on there for, seeing some of these things come up before, especially the tennis courts, and they get cut every time. And if they get cut, then you're not being fiscally responsible and putting something aside for that, so that we're not gonna be hit with $1 million turf field fix. Heaven knows what the Great Neck, that fix is gonna be, and then the tennis courts too. We're talking multi-million dollars that could have been done over several years.
So
and
can
hasn't
I
been.
ask
There
where they
was-
get cut? Because if we know where they get cut, maybe we can at least go to those meetings.
Well, the way, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, the way capital works in this town is all the town departments submit capital requests to the first selectman's office by charter or whatever. It's the first selectman's responsibility to put that together. That plan of capital goes to the board of selectmen. So that's the process in this town. I will say, in the first selectman's capital plan, while not in the capital plan, there was some indication that fund balance, town fund balance, which is kind of the money that doesn't get spent, it's called the undesignated fund balance, is money that was budgeted for but wasn't spent. The first selectman indicated in documents that there could be fund balance available to address these, but it would still take a request from this board to pursue those dollars.
Okay, great.
I think we should
That's what
proceed
our
that.
motion says tonight.
Yeah, and the multipurpose turf field at the high school and the tennis courts, we're at the point where we are risking injury.
Yeah.
And that's just unacceptable. We cannot put our players at risk and other towns' players at risk.
The
I mean,
lawsuit-
this is a safety issue now.
The
Yeah,
law-
I mean, I
the
wanna
lawsuits are
say,
the-
no, we would not put players on the field
Right.
if it was a safety risk today.
Correct.
With that said, we do have a consultant who tests that field yearly who says it needs to be done in the next year or
Next
two.
year too, if the,
And I
with
think,
the
you know, there's no
multi-field.
governing body that inspects tennis courts, but I think by the pictures,
Yeah.
as well as community feedback, and you can see cracks and rulers and patching's not
Yeah,
gonna address it.
2-inch cracks is a safety hazard.
Kathleen?
I mean, I agree with both in the sense that they both need it, but if when it comes down to the fact of being, you know, economically eligible to receive, I would say that the multi-field would be something that I'd put on for next year comparatively to get the tennis courts up and running now. Because at least then, I mean, according to the paperwork that was provided, it says a replacement within a year or two at the very most. So it does give you a little bit of leeway. The tennis courts, though, you can clearly see that they are just not, they're just not in good shape. So,
I think we also have to look ahead to, we better do a motion first.
Okay, I move that the Waterford Board of Education authorizes the administration to submit a request for an appropriation from the undesignated fund balances to the Town of Waterford Board of Selectmen for funding the turf field replacement and the replacement of Waterford High School tennis courts, and I would like to add, and the remediation of Great Neck playground area.
Second.
Can I say something, Madam
Yes.
Chair? On the Great Neck Field, we don't know what the solution is yet, so I agree with you, down the road, it's likely gonna take a capital request, but we wouldn't even know at this time the amount of money to request from the Board of Selectmen. So Board of Selectmen, it won't, I don't wanna speak for the Board of Selectmen, it's likely they wouldn't consider the Great Neck Field until there's actually like an evaluation done and a plan that, okay, this is what needs to be done. I think we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on the Great Neck Field until we get a report. Joe, anything to add?
No, that's fair.
No, I don't want,
I don't have a
Well,
dollar.
because they would, but they would want
They're
an
gonna want
actual
a dollar.
solution,
Yeah,
and we don't
They
have
wanna
one.
see, yeah.
They're gonna
So
want a
you
dollar.
can't-
all right,
Yeah,
all
you
right.
can't, there's no
I will
solution offered.
amend that emotion.
Emotion.
The motion.
To the original?
To just the, Waterford High School tennis courts and the turf field.
I second that motion.
Any other questions or discussion? I think as part of it though, we wanna give assurance to the Great Neck, families.
Right.
That we're not
Oh,
pushing this aside.
Absolutely.
That we wanna do this correctly and as
Right.
efficiently and as
Quickly as possible.
Yes.
And if I was sitting over there thinking, wait a minute, you're balancing turf and tennis with my kid's recess
not-
time.
yeah.
Mm,
No,
I
that's
understand
not-
that it's not a win situation, but I want you to know you have our assurance that we're,
Right.
Working
we're
on it.
following this and we'll come up with a solution.
Problem is, it's taking too long.
Well,
Well, that's why we're gonna try and expedite this
Push
as
it.
fast as
Our,
possible.
again,
Do
on Great
our
Neck
best.
Field, our goal will be to have some findings, hopefully and recommendations by the end of August at the August board meeting.
So we could do this again.
Right.
We
Short
could
term.
make a similar motion.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
It's gonna be revisited, just not.
It's to write a report, come on, give me a break.
To test it, to write a report, to watch water saturation.
We'll see.
Under promise, over deliver, November.
Are there any other questions or comments?
You need a second.
We have a
We have a
second.
second.
We have a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Greg, you glad you stayed?
Yes,
Greg.
I'll look it up.
At this time, item number 8 is anticipated executive session for the purpose of discussion on the agreement between the Waterford Board of Ed and the Waterford Board of Ed Secretaries, Clerks, and Assistants, United Public Service Employees Union. So I'm asking for a motion.
I move that the Waterford Board of Education moves into executive session